Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Morning Breath live stream where we choose to start our day with coherence. I'm your host, Jeremy Tennell. This is week 3, day 14 of our 14-week journey, the path of personal transformation. This week, we've been exploring the concept of ownership within the frameworks of boundaries, which clarify our responsibility, which is our ability to choose our response, and repair, restoring relationship when we make poor choices. Today, we're going to talk about discipline. And if you're here, you're practicing discipline. Discipline is the practice of choosing the pain that leads to growth over the pain that comes from avoidance. From the very beginning of this journey, we introduced a simple but powerful truth. There are two kinds of pain in life. There's the pain of discipline, and there's the pain of regret. The pain of discipline is intentional. It is chosen. It's often uncomfortable in the moment. The pain of regret is reactive and delayed. It takes time to catch up to you, but it often lingers longer than you would expect or hope. The difference is not whether pain exists. The reality is, pain is the great teacher in life. There is no avoiding it. The difference is which direction your spiral moves, in or out. When we choose discipline, the spiral begins to move outward. We follow through. We stay consistent. And we act in alignment with who we want to become. That outward spiral builds trust within ourselves, a capacity for taking on more responsibility. It builds resilience over difficult moments in life. We gain clarity on who we are and strength to follow the path towards what we want in life. But when we avoid discipline, that spiral tends to move inward. We delay our responsibility. We lean into justification and excuses. We live on distraction that eats us from within. And we abandon commitments that harbor good fortune. And over time, that creates deep-rooted regrets, eroding self-doubt, attention and intention fragmentation, and the loss of coherence in our lives. You see, discipline is often misunderstood as a type of punishment or restriction in our lives. But discipline is actually self-alignment over time. It is the practice of doing what we said we would do, showing up when it would be easier not to, and staying with a process when the results are not immediate or even apparent. Discipline is not about intensity. You don't have to dig more in order to grab it. It is about consistency. You can start small, commitment, staying with it, and growth. Our lives operate through patterns that form over time. Repeated choices create repeated pathways in our behavior, in our emotions, and in our cognition. Discipline sends a clear signal into the system. This matters. I follow through. I'm reliable to myself and to others. But without discipline, the signal becomes inconsistent. It says, sometimes I show up, but I'm not reliable. Discipline directs energy intentionally. Instead of energy being scattered through distraction and avoidance and reaction, it becomes focused and cumulative. Over time, that focus builds momentum. Discipline creates structure in our lives. It sets routines and practices and commitments that we hold on to. These structures reduce decision fatigue, and they make aligned behavior easier to sustain. Instead of feeling like you're sinking, you feel like you're walking on water over time. The concept of ownership is not what we say. Ownership is what we repeat. Discipline is where ownership becomes visible. It is where those boundaries in our lives are maintained, where our response ability is practiced, and repair is followed through. Discipline is not something we do once. It is something we return to over and over. Just like the spiral, we revisit the same commitments, and each time we return, we either reinforce the outward spiral of growth or the inward spiral of regret. Today, I want you to find some time to take your journals, and I want you to ask yourself a few questions. Where in my life am I currently experiencing the pain of regret? That's a tough question. I want you to be really honest. Where did you miss the mark? And it's okay. There's always an opportunity in order to try again. What discipline might have prevented that behavior, that experience? And finally, what is one small, specific commitment I can begin today? What would it look like to follow through, even when it's uncomfortable? If you're coming to these Morning Breath live streams, then you're living with a commitment. You're following through. You're choosing your response. And you're building discipline. I appreciate you being here. Let's go ahead and start our breath work. I want you to go ahead and sit up straight. Put your feet on the ground. Roll your shoulders back. Move your hips. And we're going to take 2 deep breaths and out with a sigh. So we're going to breathe in again. Let's place our hands over our heart because we are targeting the area of our heart to become coherent with the cognition of our brain. And let's begin our breath with about a 5.5-second breath in through our nose and out through our mouths. Relax your face. Drop your gaze and begin your gratitude list in your head. What are you thankful for? Through this practice, let that spiral outwards get bigger. Lose your attention, come back to your breath and your gratitude.